Hello everyone. My name is Robin Strayhorn, and I just want to welcome all of you here to Arts at Blue Roof for our workshop today. And this is a paper mala making workshop, and this mala is part of an exhibit that culminated during my artist in residency here at Arts at Blue Roof. And this mala is, well, first of all, a mala is a Sanskrit term that means garland, and malas are used in the Indian tradition as a tool for meditation. And I decided to make a paper mala for this exhibit. This is one of two, and typically a mala has 108 beads. And this one has 108. We are going to make one here today. You're not necessarily going to make use 108 beads. And in some cultures, there's 54 beads are used. Sometimes 27 beads are used. And today you can choose however many you want to use for your mala. I'm going to use 18, and you can use whatever number is significant for you. So this mala was made, I made it out of cardstock paper, and I chose to use oval shapes. So first I cut out my paper ovals, and then I used acrylic paint. I used two different colors. I first painted the back and the front, and then I also used stencils for this one. I used two different stencils that I made, and I used a pearlescent paint. Actually, I chose the pearlescent color because it represented some of the pearl malas that I've used in the past. So when we make ours today, you can use other materials. I'm going to show you some other materials that you'll be able to use at home. Today, we're going to, as well as embellishing the front of the mala, the front side, we're going to also create a special phrase or a term that you're going to add on the back of your bead as well, each one of your beads. And you can then use that later as a meditation or a focus for your daily, on a daily basis. So we're going to have a lot of fun working on this today. I'm going to show you some of the materials that we can use, because even though I used paint on this one, we have some other options that I'm going to share with you as well. Okay, so here we are at the table, and I want to share with you some of the supplies that we're going to need for the workshop. So we have, you want to have a pencil and an eraser, probably a pencil sharpener. If you have any colored pencils, that would be great. We have colored pencils, markers, also paint. If you have any paints at home, that would be great. And brushes. These are little embellishments, and I forget the name of these. But anyway, you can use these to glue on to some of your pieces. We also, you would also need some glue. Actually, this glue stick can work, is not as permanent, so you might want to have like a liquid glue. Also, you're going to need some scissors, also paper. And as far as the paper is concerned, you want it to be cardstock paper or construction paper, something that's a little bit heavier than normal paper. Okay, so now what I'm going to do now is use this little jar. This is my brush cleaner jar, and I'm going to start cutting out the shapes. Now, for my mala, what I decided to do is to have circles and diamonds. So I'm going to do every other one, a circle and a diamond. So I'm going to use this little jar. You might have something around the house that you can use to create your shapes. So I'm going to start by tracing my circles. And because I'm going to make a mala with 18 beads, I'm gonna cut out 9 circles, and then I'm gonna cut out 9 diamonds so that I have everything cut out ahead of time before I start embellishing. So I'm gonna start cutting my circles here. Okay, so there's my first circle. Well, not exactly the first. All right. Okay, so another option that we have is to work using a stencil. We can use a stencil. Now, right away, I want to say, for those of you who are younger, you would need your parents to help you out with this, because when we're making stencils, we have to use sharper tools. So when I was making the models that you've seen here, I used the stencil to create this design. So first I painted my square black, and I painted on the back and the front, and then I went in with some other colors and painted these background colors. I used paintbrush and also a palette knife, and created these fuchsia and orange colors. And then I used the stencil, and I created the stencil first. I cut this out. I had to use, like I mentioned, I had to use a sharper tool. I actually used an X-Acto knife. And then I placed the stencil on top of the square, like this. And then I used tape. I used some blue tape like this, because it's easy to come off without damaging your paper. So, and then I dabbed the paint on there, and then created a more raised effect that you see here. This area is raised. Actually, I used a gel as well. I put the gel on first, and then I covered the paint on top of the gel using the stencil. So that's another option if you are able to make stencils, or if you happen to have some stencils lying around. Now, after we create our designs and on our beads, the next thing that we're going to want to do is punch holes in each of our sections so that we can attach them with using string, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. So ideally you have a hole punch. It would be really helpful if you have a hole puncher, but I'll show you how we'll do this. But also, if you don't have a hole punch, I'm going to show you an alternative way to create your holes. Now, first I'm going to show you something. Now you have to first, excuse me, you're going to first decide the orientation of your piece. Like if you want your hanging to, if you wanted to the lines to be horizontal, then you would then make sure you have your hole up the top and the bottom here. Now, if you were going to have vertical lines, you would place your holes this way. You have a hole here and a hole at the top here. For me, I want my lines to be horizontal on this piece, so I'm going to make my holes here at the top. So, and make sure when you punch your hole, make sure you have a little bit of space, so you don't want to get it too close to the top where it is going to tear. So this, I have a hole. I'll turn it on this side too, so you can see the placement of the hole. So this hole punch is I think it's 1/8 of an inch diameter. Okay, so I'm gonna place another one right here. So there, excuse me. So I have my 2 holes there, and then for this one, it's pretty obvious. I'm gonna have the 1 hole here at the top, and down here at the bottom. Okay. Now, let me show you what you can do if you don't have a hole punch. You can either use a stick pin like this, if you happen to have something like this, And again, for you younger artists, you want to have your parents help you with this. Also, you can use a safety pin. I really actually prefer this safety pin because it's longer and a little bit easier to use. So you would just stick the pin in, maybe put it on the table and punch a hole, and then we're gonna push the stick pin all the way through, and then you're gonna wiggle it around to widen the hole. So I'm just wiggling this. Be careful so you don't bend your paper. So you want to hold it close to the pin and just wiggle it around, and you can see you have a hole there. And if you might need to make it a little bigger depending on the size string that you have access to. So there you can see I have a hole there, and then we're going to do another one on the opposite end. Okay, so after that initial punch, again, you just want to stick the pin through and just wiggle it around to widen the hole. There. So there, now we have our two holes. And what you're going to do next is add the string. And there's different types of strings that you can use. You can use there's a special string that's used for jewelry making. If you don't have something like that, you could use yarn, you could use thread, maybe someone in the house sews, you can use some sort of sewing thread. If you have other types of string in the house, you can use that. Or you could use maybe some wire from the twist ties. That's another option. So you can be creative with this. Just see what you have lying around the house that could be used to string these pieces together. Let's see. Now that we have finished, I've finished punching the holes in each piece. So as you can see, each one of these has the hole punched in it. So the next thing you want to do is you want to line everything up. You want to get your composition together and decide what order you want to string your pieces. So this is what I have here. I'm going to string them like this. So we're going to start with these two at the top. So this one, basically what I do is I just put the front to front and line the holes up. And then I'm gonna stick my string that I've cut. And actually, when you cut the string, you may wanna cut the pieces a little bit longer so that you have room to work with them. So I just stick the string in there like that and then bring the two ends together. And this string here, I might add, is it's called bead-along. This is a string that is used for stringing beads. And it could be found at Michael's or other craft stores. So anyway, we're gonna string these, we're gonna tie these together. Okay, so I just make a knot like this. We put the two strings together, the two ends together rather, and just make a knot. But okay, so you're gonna do it gradually. You're gonna bring this around. Now, before you start to tighten this, you don't want to tighten it yet. We are going to actually hold it there. We're going to put a little, we'll use a pencil. And we're going to bring this knot down and hold these two in place. Put the pencil in, and you're going to pull the knot down before you tie it too tight. And you're going to bring it down to about right there. And then you can tighten it. You can pull it down with your fingers, tighten it, and then pull it like this. And then you can cut off the excess. So we're going to use the scissors, cut that off. All right. And then you have your first two pieces strung together. And that is how I did the attach all the pieces for the model, for one of the models I'm going to show you in a little bit. Now, another way you can do this is you can use what's called a jump ring. For those of you who have experience with beading, and you might have some of these little jump rings. So basically, what you would do is use your tool. I forget what this tool is called, but it's like pliers. And the way you use this pliers and the jump ring to open it up is actually I'm going to use two pairs, and I'm just going to hold them on both sides, and I'm going to just twist this like this to open it up. Now you want to do it that way as opposed to pulling it apart, because once you pull it apart, you're going to damage the shape, the round shape. And before I actually stick it in, I'm going to show you how we put it back together. You just do the same thing. The way we pulled it in one direction, we're going to pull it back in the opposite direction like that. And then the two ends will meet up. So we'll go back. I'm going to open it again. Just pull it like that. And then you would take your pieces, your two pieces, put them, okay, you're going to put it, so we want the relax, since we have relax on the back, we want the writing to be up. So we're going to turn this around actually, and we're going to attach, we're going to hold those together like that, place those together rather, and then we're going to put our jump ring in. Actually, the jump ring is a little time consuming. It's actually it's not that bad. Okay, so now we are going to take the other tool, the second tool, and we're going to twist this around, bring those two back together, and there we have it. Let's see. This actually is not joining it the way I want it to, so okay. So my ends are not meeting up the way they normally would, but I think I pulled it too hard. So anyway, I'm just trying to squeeze these together. All right, there we go. So now we have our jump ring. Okay, so now you can see that we have two different ways to string these beads together. And by the way, I did not have my glasses on, so I had a little bit of a challenge with the jump ring. But anyway, we'll come on and walk over here. I'll show you the final piece, the final model on this side. So just to recap, I started out with a piece of paper, painted both sides of the paper. It was actually a cardstock paper. And then I created an abstract design using acrylic paint. And then to give this piece more dimension, I actually used a stencil and used the stencil to create these two different design patterns on the model as well. And then finally, I strung these pieces together using this string. And yeah, so then that's how this one was put together, with the string. And then if you follow me to the other side, we'll get a close-up of the other model that we started out with. So here, if you look closely, you can see that these were all connected with the jump. What's that called? The jump ring. So anyway, these are, yeah, so those are the two different ways in which you could string them together. There's other possibilities as well. Now, another thing I might add too is that you can you can hang these however you want. Like this is hung this way. It would be really interesting to switch it up every month, especially since you're gonna have phrases written on the back of your pieces that you can come back to on a daily basis and let that be the theme for the day. So once you go through a month, maybe you could switch it, move your pattern, hang it in a different way, so when you come back to look at your messages on the back, it'll be a surprise because it's in a different position. So anyway, so that's it for today. I want to thank you all for joining us here at Arts Blue Roof. And when you finish making one of your malas, feel free to tag us. You can tag me at Studio Strayhorn, and also you could tag Arts at Blue Roof. We will be happy and excited to see what you create. Thanks again, and have a lovely rest of your day.